So what is magic with a K? Does the spelling matter? And what does it all mean anyway? Hi gorgeous soul, I'm Chloe Rose, founder of Mystic Hearts, and I welcome you to the realms of magic and mischief. And this is lesson 1 of 4 in my brand new ongoing series of mini courses. So welcome to this introductory video where I will be giving you a taster of what's to come. And this mini course is called Weaving Magic. And I wanted to start today of just having a look at what is magic with a K. You'll probably see, if you are a regular subscriber to my channel or someone that works with me regularly or is just watching me from afar, thank you and hello, but you will see that I use the word magic with a K very, very often. Magic is a huge part of my life. It means a lot to me, and for me, a world without magic would be very, very sad. So what does it mean, and where does it all come from? Well, personally, I think that it doesn't matter how you spell the word. It is the intent and intention behind it. And for me, using the word magic with a K is a nod to the more ancient traditions of the craft and ritualistic magic. And it's also just out of respect and honouring of the depths of understanding of what I believe magic is and the importance of how I weave it into my life and my everyday reality. So it's more about intention than I actually don't think it matters if you use the word magic with a C or magic with a K. But for me, I just like it. Magic with a K has a little extra spice to it. But we can unravel some of the layers a little bit, and I can explain to you kind of surface level what the difference is between magic with a C and magic with a K, so you can just get an understanding of the difference between the two at a surface level. So if we give each of these words, each of these ways of spelling magic, an archetype. Magic with a C would be the magician, okay? And when we think of your modern day magician, that is the art of illusion, the illusionist, in reality, a magician should probably be called an illusionist or an entertainer, because they are not actually practicing magic. I'll go on to explain that a bit further. So they are using the art of illusion, entertainment, oftentimes deception, deceiving you into believing the impossible is possible. They use tricks and sleight of hand to make things seem possible that actually aren't. So they bend reality, but through deception and tricks. And a magician is all about performance and theatrics and spectacle and showmanship. Which you might think, well, Chloe, that's what you're doing. Yes, but right now I am not practicing my magic. I am performing for for my channel. So again, it's very much about intention and desire and audience. So when we think of magic with a C, the magician, we think of rabbit in a hat, we think of card tricks, we think of like a woman in a box getting cut up into pieces. That is our typical illusion where our gaze, our awareness is being drawn away from the reality of what is happening, so that we are led to believe that something else entirely is unfolding before our eyes. So it is, it's bending reality, but for the purpose of entertainment only. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with entertainment. But as I said, perhaps magicians should be called illusionists or entertainers or tricksters. But that's totally up to them to decide, right? But the problem is, it has given this sort of veil of insincerity and a jester-like quality to the very real and tangible practices of magic with a K. And practices of magic with a K root all the way back to the First Nations people. Magic with a K, we think of shamans, sorcerers, witches, wizards, healers, priestesses. This is when we get into the realms of magic with a K. So the archetype for this, I've put witch or witchcraft. But as I mentioned, that this is only because that is what I would identify as, because of my heritage. So I am from Finland, Eastern Europe, Scotland, Ireland, Wales and England. So witchcraft is thick and rich in my culture. For you, it may be more shamanic roots, although I do have that Viking shamanism running through my blood as well. You may feel more priestess if you're more Egyptian or from more Eastern traditions. There could be another word for these very, very traditional spiritual practices. So let's talk about magic with a K. Why is it different? Well, it is not an illusion. It is not for entertainment, and it is not for performance. A lot of magic with a K is personal. It is ritualistic. It is done quietly behind closed doors. So already we're seeing this huge duality between magic with a C and magic with a K, between the witch and the magician. It's a spiritual and deeply personal practice rooted in ancient traditions. So magic with a K can be very different for each individual, especially for your cultural traditions. Maybe if you are from a family that has deep spiritual traditions passed down, it could look very different what magic means to you. So magic with a K is causing change to occur through our individual will. Now that is very, very different from making the impossible seem possible through illusion. Magic with a K is actually and really causing change to occur through our will. And also what I've added, because this is what I find is a fundamental part of magic, is understanding and working in harmony and partnership with fundamental forces of nature, also known as elemental magic. And I've put this because I find that it holds the base of the foundation of knowledge. And don't get me wrong, I truly believe that there is cosmic and interdimensional galactic magic that we could also tap into. But I want to talk about tangible, experiential, earthly magic. And this is very deeply rooted and tied into the elements: earth, fire, water, air, ether, or spirit. And you may or may not know this, but the pentagram, the 5-pointed star, which has been pointed at for millennia as a sign of devil worship, darkness and evil, the pentagram is literally joining all of the fundamental forces of nature and connecting them and interconnecting them together with spirit at the top. Interesting. I'm going to be doing in video 2 is going to be a whole workshop on elemental magic. So we'll be going a lot more into the pentagram, into the different elements, into working with the elements and what that means. So do check out the next video. Before I come back into a little bit more of talking about magic with a K, I wanted to explain to you these mini courses. So for each course, there's going to be 5 videos in each mini course. The first will be your introduction, so you can gain an understanding of what it is that we are going to be exploring. The second video is going to be a workshop, so it's going to be a lot more information, a deep dive where you can come with your favorite drink, you can come with a notepad and get ready to learn. The third video is going to be a practical, where we're actually putting into practice 1, 2, maybe 3 practices that are relevant to the mini course. And then finally, the 4th video, and this is, I'm going to use the same structure for now for at least the next 6 months. So for at least the first 6 mini courses. The 4th and final video will be a deep, guided quantum meditation journey. So this one will be all about finding your magic with a K, embodying your magic. So we will be going on a very deep magical journey to connect to your individual magic roots. So it's really exciting. So as I mentioned, we are going to be in the next video diving deep into elemental magic. And what's really interesting is the elements are also directly connected to our own internal energy system, our chakras, or our magical portals, if you like. So as within, so without. Another word that you will hear a lot in esotericism. I don't know if I said that right. Esoteric practices. Witchcraft. Magic with a K. So when we think of magic, like I said, it is anything that is changing something from A to B, using our own will to create that change. So we can think of casting spells. These can be with herbs, typically, with candles, with incense, often with people to create energy. Many different ways to cast spells. We can write enchantments, and oftentimes poets and creatives are magicians. Whether they consciously or subconsciously are aware of it or not, they are often magicians, because our voice and our hands, which are connected to our voice, is our most powerful magical tool. This is what bends our reality to our will, our voice and our hands, because our hands are our expression. So if you think about that, drawing, painting, typing, writing, speaking, singing, listening, thinking, this is all in the dimensions of our magic. So it's really important that we understand this. So when we come to our 3rd video in this mini course, we're going to be really diving deep into the power and importance of intention. So we're going to practice writing an enchantment together. We may practice something like a simple spell or how to conduct an oracle reading. I'm going to see how it flows, but I'm going to be teaching you the practice of the importance of intention through the power of your voice, your words, your expression. So it's really exciting. You know, and we could go so deep on magic, but what I want to conduct in this first mini course is the foundations. So giving you an understand of elemental magic and working with the elements and how they weave together and why it's so important to be in harmony with the natural world and why we are so disconnected from that, and the relationship between that disconnection and the disconnection from our own magic and our own magical experience. And then the power of intention. For me, these two things are the foundations of building your own magic practice. And like I said, that could be a completely different path for each of us. I have studied Northern shamanism. At the moment, I am on the path of traditional witchcraft, which is very different to Wicca and the occult. This one is rooted in deep traditions of folklore and fairy tales and just very practical, hands-on rituals and building tools and crafting. So that's where I'm at the moment, but I'm very much in the exploration. And again, this is what it's about. Remember, it's all about our expression. So our own journey into exploring and then embodying and practicing our magic is going to also support our own creative expression and really embodying the truth of who we are. So I'm super excited to share this mini course with you called Weaving Magic. Weaving Magic. And if you have any questions about the difference between magic with a C and magic with a K, and you'd like to know a little bit more about different practices of magic, please let me know in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer your questions. But it's the practice of doing something to change something with a specific intention. So arguably, we could say that being psychic is not magic. Actually, being psychic and being open and aware of our multi-sensory experience is actually a normal human function. But we have just been conditioned and broken down and separated from that magical multidimensional part of us. No, magic itself is working with energy to change something. Healers, spell casting. It can be using herbs, working with the earth. There is so much. It's such a rich topic that I'm not going to cover it in this video. But if you have any specific questions like, is this magic, Chloe? Feel free to ask me in the comments, and I am so excited to see you in the next video for our elemental magic masterclass or workshop, if you like. I can't wait to see you there. Feel free to bring some of your magical tools, pen, paper, and your favorite beverage.